Hey, all. Let's look now at the next considerations that I encountered and through trying to play Warhammer Fantasy roleplay game, 4th edition. So I kind of assumed this is a Warhammer thing. It should be, quite well supported. And, it sort of generally is, to be fair. So I thought, okay, if you're going to try and get into it, you should just be able to buy everything, right? And I ran into a problem that I've run into before with game systems where they're still putting out new content. They put out like here's a new, I don't know, a source book or a adventure book or something like that. And they still have Warhammer Fantasy content coming out on pre-order at the time of making this video. But also at the time of making this video, I encountered an issue trying to buy some of the materials for it. So they've got real problems trying to source the beginner box, which should be like a no-brainer, right? The beginner box. But it's really difficult to get. Like Waterstones stopped selling it and then they went to online only copies of it. And there's other stores that can't source it at all now. So that had to be bought online. Even my local game store couldn't get hold of it. So that was interesting. The GM screen, oh dear Lord, no go. Just sold out everywhere, just everywhere. And then it was a case of going through enough Google pages that you finally find a game shop somewhere up the country that just has one. I mean, for all of my searching, I found one place that had 2 copies of it and another shop that had 1 copy. And that was it in the entire UK for the GM screen. That's incredible, isn't it? When you think like, it's not really encouraging new GMs to get this thing, is it? Like there's going to be no more new GMs for this unless you buy the PDF GM screen. I've never been a fan of that. I know it's got an accompanying materials with like tips for a games master, which is really, really good actually. But the point of it is the GM screen, right? You want that lovely 4-paneled GM screen with the back picture thing. And I don't know, you could probably print it yourself, I guess, and overlay it across another GM screen. I've had to do things like that before. But I've been desperate for things when I'm playing like Mutant Year Zero and one of the off games of that and then trying to get a GM screen for it. And it's all just being crazy, just making do. But I really wanted this GM screen. So I managed to get it. So that's it, at the moment. Got the beginner box and the GM screen. So I'm running into difficulty sourcing materials. And even like the main campaign books don't look like they are easy to get and very often out of stock. So it's a supported and loved game that isn't continually supported. So there's that feeling of fear of scarcity going on, that there's going to be a point at which, you kind of need to get them all now or they will just be gone. And there is something nice for me. I know you can always buy PDFs, even of kind of, module books and that. But I think there's something nice when it comes to module books of having a physical product. So much so that, having the physical product, I get to write in the margins. I take a highlighter pen. I do that. I underline things. I make little notes. And the reason I do that is because I put down some of my initial thoughts and ideas on a first read through. And then when I come back to actually running it at the table, I haven't remembered everything I thought of at the time when I first did my read through. And so there's this thing about this danger of coming in and being cold and missing things because you're too far removed from your initial research of reading the book. So if you've made those notes, you're kind of past you is nudging future you with some of those ideas of saying, hey, remember this guy's important, or but is, actually he's actually quite treacherous, remember, or play him this way, or this kind of idea, or anything. That's what the margin's for, right? And the underlines and the highlights. It could be a thing where like there could be a scene and all the personnel, all the personae that, dramatis personae that are within the scene are all listed, but they might not be listed in bullet point. They might all be somewhere within the text. So you might want to highlight all those names, for example. Or you might want to highlight anything else that you deem to be important within the writing of that module book. So it's always quite nice. And if I had a PDF of it, I think I would still chuck it in the printer and print it all out, and then it's just a less nice to flick through version of it. It's just nice to own it, right? So, and it's also nice to have the PDF when you get a complimentary PDF, because with things like that, you can just, work with the computer simultaneously and have like one page open and then another page open physically and all this sort of thing. Or if you like the multi-book thing, I remember one GM, you've got multiple books open and then that's tabs on a computer instead. But if it's got multiple books open in front of you, you can see them all. I had a GM, Laurie, who you might remember from the old things, who would put one book on his head and then he'd work with the others and then take the one back off his head again. And, he's like some mad GM book wizard guy. But we'd always joke that he'd put book on his head to absorb the knowledge that way. Anyway, scarcity and kind of availability and, it's popular, but how popular and how feasible is this? But, I really want to do it because, hey, the world. So that was the first thing I encountered. But I'll see you at the next video.